Hi, everybody, and thank you, Sarah, and thank you to all of you for taking the time out of your day to be here on this Zoom meeting. I know it's a little bit different than what we're used to. This is something in the future. I know Wildlife and Parks and the Wichita Public Library will be perfectly willing to team up in the future to do in-person programs, once these restrictions ease. So keep an eye out for that. So this presentation, Planning Your Next Outdoor Adventure, is going to be primarily about information you might need to know or steps you might need to take to get outside in Kansas. Kansas is a beautiful state, and we have a lot of opportunities to really enjoy being outside and enjoying nature. This presentation, I'm going to give you a bunch of information that you'll need. I'm going to show a few videos, and then like Sarah said, at the end, we'll have a question and answer session for you to ask questions. I do want to say that with as few people as we have, I would like this to be extremely informal. So if you absolutely cannot wait until the end, feel free to unmute yourself and just yell that at me. I won't get my feelings hurt and ask that question. If not, like Sarah said, you can type it into the chat box or simply remember it until the end, and we'll go over any concern or any question you might have at the end. So this presentation is primarily going to be geared towards a first-time camper or someone that is just now starting to want to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. So for those of you that might be experienced campers, for those of you that might be experienced outdoorsmen, bear with me, but I do promise that probably something in this presentation will strike you and give you some information that you didn't have before. My focus, I'm a park ranger. I'm the assistant manager at Cheney State Park. So my focus and the information that I'm going to give to you is going to be primarily geared towards state parks. Obviously, Kansas has more than just state parks. We have federal parks, well, not federal parks, but we have federal areas where you can go, federal campgrounds, county parks, city parks. Kansas is really diverse in what it offers you to get outside and to enjoy the outdoors. Located in Wichita, as I assume most of you are, you have two great options as far as state parks go. Cheney State Park is on the west outskirts of town, about a 25 or 30-minute drive. For you East Siders, El Dorado Park is on the other side of town. Again, these are two of the largest state parks in Kansas. In fact, El Dorado is the largest state park, and Cheney is close on its heels. El Dorado offers 1,100 campsites. Cheney offers 700 campsites. So between the two of those, you got plenty of area, plenty of opportunity to enjoy Kansas. This is my first time hosting a Zoom meeting. We do these in person all the time, so please bear with me as I try to navigate the sharing of the screens and answer your questions. This is a bit out of my comfort zone doing it over Zoom, so again, please bear with me. So let me try to share my screen real quick, and I will get us into this presentation, this PowerPoint, and it should work.
We can see the screen. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So again, okay. So this program is, as Sarah said, titled Planning Your Next Outdoor Adventure. Again, I'm Mitch Schwartz. I'm the assistant manager at Cheney State Park. So I know I spoke about it briefly earlier, but if you can look at this map, this shows all 28 state parks in Kansas. Being in Wichita, we really are nestled between a great deal of them where we're centrally located. And as you can see on this map, Cheney is just to the west, El Dorado is to the east, but all within an hour or two's drive, you can get to a great deal of the state parks in Kansas. So what do state parks in Kansas have to offer? As a total, In the entire state, we have over 10,000 campsites. That's including primitive and utility campsites. Kansas offers 120 cabins and yurts, 130,000 surface acres of water for you to enjoy boating or fishing or swimming, and 250 special events throughout the year. These special events are offered in every single park, and they're a great way to get out and experience a unique aspect of a park. So I'm going to go over some of the outdoor activities that you can do in parks, but this isn't park specific. This is something that you can do anywhere in the state of Kansas, out of the state of Kansas, in a state park, in a county park, in a city park, in a federal park. Of course, these top three are going to be the big ones: fishing, hunting, and camping. These are what a vast majority of people do come to the state parks to do. Again, we offer, what did I say, 130,000 surface acres of water for fishing and for boating. Many people do come out here to hunt. That's primarily during the winter. And camping, that's what most people think of when they think of the state park as camping. And later on in this presentation, I am going to go over a lot about camping, and I'm going to show you what it takes to camp, what you need to know to camp, as some hints. A lot of people don't know, but many state parks in Kansas do offer horseback riding. The two closest ones to Wichita are Sand Hill State Park, which is in Hutchinson, and El Dorado State Park, which is just east of town, does offer horseback riding. We have miles of trails. In fact, we have campgrounds that are entirely focused on horses. We have horse pens, corrals that you can park your camper right next to, and just be one location to do all of your horse related things. Another big thing is bike riding. Many people that come out here to camp bring their bikes, as well as people that just come out to bike ride in a state park for the day. Boating and sailing is another big one. Boating can be done in any state park, in any lake. Cheney especially is known for sailing. So Cheney is one of the top 5 reservoirs in the entire United States for number of windy days a year. And I think the criteria when they were determining windy days was over 15 miles an hour. So Cheney has more 15-mile-an-hour windy days than the top 5 in the entire country, more than any other place in the country. It's really a great place to sail, and the sailors really utilize that wind to enjoy being out on the water. Kayaking and canoeing, this is huge. This is something that in the past really 5 years has skyrocketed, especially last year when the pandemic hit. I know it was hard to find a kayak in a lot of sporting goods stores. It's just a great way to get out on the water. It's not expensive. It doesn't take a lot of equipment, and you can get a pretty good workout when you're doing it as well. Stand-up paddleboarding is another thing that is gaining popularity. This is abbreviated SUP. Basically, it is a surfboard that you stand on, and you can paddle yourself around while you're standing on the water. It's really neat. It takes a lot of balance, but this again is gaining popularity. We've seen quite a few people out there on what looks like a surfboard just cruising through the lake, and it's really neat to see. Hiking is another big one. Each park offers miles and miles of hiking trails. Here at Cheney, we have 10 miles of hiking. Canopolis, which is a short drive north of here, offers 30 miles of hiking. And really Canopolis, and as Sarah said, that's where I started, is one of the most beautiful places to hike in the state. A lot of people come up to Canopolis for the first time and get out on those trails, and you're in the hills, you're on those bluffs, and you think, wow, I'm not in Kansas, but you are. Kansas has a lot to offer. It's not just as flat as a pancake state. It does offer a lot of diversity when it comes to hills, and Canopolis, really great place to go in and try if you haven't. It's just a little over an hour from Wichita. Disc golf, that's another thing that you can see all across the state is growing. Wichita itself has a number of city golf courses, and a lot of state parks are kind of hopping on the bandwagon and establishing disc golf courses in the parks. We have one. I know El Dorado either has one or is in the process of getting one. And this is basically, if you don't know what it is it's very similar to golf, except you don't hit a ball, you use with a frisbee. It's a modified frisbee. And you throw those into a big basket with chains on it. It's free, which is a big draw to a lot of people. And again, it's gaining popularity. We have our course here, and we see a lot of people coming out here just to experiment with that and try it out for the first time. Something that I really didn't know until I started working in state parks is that metal detecting is very, very big, and so is magnet fishing. People will metal detect along the beaches and look for neat finds or jewelry, coins, anything that metal detector will beep on. And magnet fishing, this is the big one I had no idea of. People will take a fishing pole with just a huge magnet on the end of it, and they'll cast it out into the water and reel it in. And you would be surprised the things that are buried in the bottom of the water, especially around the boat ramps. That's a hot spot. A lot of people will lose phones, knives, jewelry, coins, all sorts of crazy things that you would not imagine would be on the bottom of the lake. But those magnet fishers are able to fish them out, really. Another big one is just sightseeing. We see people come out here all the time on the weekends to just drive around, and it's a great way to see the park, to learn about the park. And I would recommend just if you have any questions at all, just driving out and driving through the park once. You'd learn quite a bit. So coming up now, I do have a few videos. I don't want this to be 100% just me talking to you. I have a few videos to kind of just show a few of the outdoor activities that Kansas does offer. So a couple of these are very old. They're from 10 or 15 years ago, and you'll be able to tell. I do have a couple of them that are newer. So again, enjoy these for your own information. And again, if you have any questions, yell them out at me, type them in the chat box, or at the end, we can go over those. So my first video is about recreational boating in Kansas. And this is one of the older videos that we had on our parks YouTube channel, but it kind of gets you in the mood to buy a boat, really. So
with more than 20 major reservoirs, Kansas is a great place for recreational boating. Since state parks offer camping right next to the water at many lakes, a camping boating vacation is a great choice for many. The water offers an endless playground, and boating is the key to many water sports and outdoors adventures. Add peripheral gear to your craft, and there's never a lack of something to do on the water. A simple boat ride can be a great experience. Exploring coves is a unique way to experience and photograph the landscape. Racing down the lake in a spray of water is a good way to stay cool on a hot day. Anchor up in a safe place and the boat becomes a deck for swimming. Turn up some music and you've got your own mini beach away from the crowd. Add an inflatable tube or skis and it becomes a water carnival. These challenging sports are exciting for all levels of experience since riders can learn acrobatic tricks while being pulled at substantial speed. And wipeouts, while not exactly painless, are soft water landings far safer than sports crashes on land. Of course, the key to safety is life jackets. Kansas law requires all boaters aged 12 and under to wear them at all times when boating. Older than that, boaters must have jackets within reach. A boat should have at least one life jacket per passenger. Life jackets should be considered mandatory for everyone entering the water or engaged in water sports. Safe boating is alcohol-free. Though no regulations prevent alcohol on a boat, it is illegal to operate a boat under the influence. Stressors like wave action, glare, and vibration increase alcohol's effect on a boat operator. In fact, only 1/3 the alcohol necessary to impair function on land can cause impairment on water. Boater education courses available online through the KDWPT website are mandatory for boat operators aged 12 through 20 without adult supervision. But they are also advised for anyone who operates watercraft on Kansas waters. Enjoy Kansas boating. Be safe and have fun on the water. I'm Mike Blair for Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism. Rocky Shore.
All right. Like I said, I have a couple more for you. Get to the next. Okay.
It's not about the cast. It's not about the gear or even the fish. It's about the water.
That's a big fish. Nice. Big.
One more time, buddy.
Fish make a good excuse to get to the water. To sit with a drink and a rod, or roam the banks. To think about everything, or to think about nothing.
Yeah, Quater.
Holy moly!
Good looking little fish there.
A good looking channel.
Good looking channel.
To be together, or to be alone. A day without a bite is still a good day. It's a memory that makes you want to make more. That tug announcing something on the hook. That wash of pride as you show the world your victory. The joy of fishing is about more than fishing. It goes beyond.
Okay. And this is another video. Cheney is really known for windsurfing and kiteboarding. Again, being a windy lake, it really caters to that type of a sport. If you're not sure what windsurfing is or wind kiting is, this video will make you an expert on it, really, and maybe even hook you onto wanting to do this. So
Thanksgiving leftovers are about gone, football is on TV, and the wind is blowing 50 miles per hour. You'd think that Kansas State Parks would be deserted now, but you'd be wrong. M&M Point at Cheney State Park is bustling with color and activity as windsurfers and kiteboarders take advantage of the fierce gusts. There's something for everyone in the Kansas outdoors, and these inland surfers found Sunday's mild temperatures and gale-force winds just right for their favorite sport. Summer riders enjoy good breezes almost daily at Cheney Reservoir, which is nationally known as a play lake for kiters, windsurfers, and sailboaters. Earlier this fall, Cheney State Park manager Jody Schwartz told why.
Yeah, we were about 20 miles west of Wichita, one of the biggest cities in the state. We'll annually have 650,000 folks come visit us. So we get various recreation people. We have campers, windsurfers, day use area people, fishermen, boaters, jet skis. Out here at Cheney, we were flat lake. The wind was pretty constant. October, we're about ready to shut the park down water-wise, but sailors and windsurfers will still come out. They'll put on wetsuits and do what they can to come out and enjoy it.
Kiteboarding and surfing are highly athletic pursuits, and the riders often surf together for safety's sake. Average gear runs several $1,000s and includes the high-tech kites and harnesses, boogie boards, and protective gear. Wetsuits are a necessity when playing in cold water, and hypothermia is a threat riders don't take lightly. Most experts have a quiver of kites or sails, different sizes to best handle various wind speeds. High winds offer tremendous power for jumps more than 30 feet high and flights of 100 yards or more. But fun as it is, it's also exhausting. Hour-long sessions are often the limit. Stacy Messner of Wichita tells what it's like to windsurf.
It's a handful trying to hang on to that sail about 30, 40 minutes, and your forearms are just burning trying to hang on to that. And to go ahead and try to jibe, make your turn. There's plenty of wind. I believe my sail's a little big today. I could have went with something a little smaller just because the gusts are, I'd say they're in the 50s it seems. Yeah, you didn't even try to jump. You were just coming off the backside of those waves, which are about anywhere from, it seems, 3 to 5 feet out there in the middle. And just coming off the backside of those, you get air. And the troughs out there are just so long. It's just like an ocean swell. You can just ride it.
Wes Jenkins of Wichita was one of the kiteboarders. He gives us his take on the high flights.
The ride today was absolutely crazy. The only cool thing about it is when you're out there, you don't think about anything else. You just relax and have fun and just hold on. The winds were great. There's 5 foot, 6 foot waves out there at times that you can slash on and just have a blast.
Needless to say, this pursuit isn't for everyone. But that's the great thing about Kansas State Parks. They're public playgrounds for all kinds of interests. And for these guys, high winds at Cheney make the ultimate rush. I'm Mike Blair for Kansas Wildlife and Parks.
I'll tell you what, even if that doesn't really seem like something that you want to do, just coming out and watching them windsurf, and you'll see them fly 60 or 70 feet in the air, and it's amazing just to watch. It's very acrobatic. Okay. Start my video again. So one thing that I did want to focus on was camping. This is one of the biggest things to do in a state park. It's what most people come out or think about when they think of a state park. And I want to go through just a few things that would be good to know if you are planning on making your first trip out to a state park. So the first of those is reservations and walk-ups. Those are two terms that we throw out there. Most state parks are 100% reservable. And by reservable, I mean you can make a reservation in advance and secure a spot for you to camp at. A number of campgrounds or a number of state parks do offer walk-up camping, and it's designated as specifically walk-up. And walk-up meaning you can come up the day of and find a site you want, and as long as it's unoccupied, you can have it. Now, even the campgrounds that are reservable do offer walk-up camping. So if you come out to Cheney on a Monday or Tuesday and you see a site open, you can have that site for at least one night. On the weekends, a lot of times on our utility sites, we're sold out weeks in advance. So you're going to have a hard time finding a utility site unless you know 2, maybe 3 months in advance that you want to camp that weekend. But still, especially during the weekdays, you can come out here and you would have no problem finding a site to camp in. The weekends are just a different thing. I throw out the terms utility and primitive, and by that we mean a utility campground is one that has at least water and electric. A lot of parks do offer full hookup, meaning utility campgrounds that have water, sewer, and electric. The sewer is that additional one. Here at Cheney, we don't have any sites that do offer sewer, but all of our utility sites are equipped with electric, 30 amp and 50 amp camper spots, as well as just regular outlets to plug into, and 30 amp as well. And then we have primitive, which are no electricity, no water. It's a camping pad for you to go and camp on. You can set up a tent. You can bring out a camper if you want. You just have to keep in mind that you're not going to have electricity. If you want the electricity or the water, you'd have to, pay a little bit more to get up to those utility campgrounds. The utility sites run anywhere from $21 to $22 a night, sometimes a little bit more, and primitive camping is $10 a night. So when you're coming out here, you have a few different options, and one thing that you're going to want to decide before you come out is where you're going to stay, what kind of shelter you want. Again, we have 120 cabins in the entire state. Cheney has 12 of those cabins. I believe El Dorado has 9 or 10. These cabins are air conditioned, heated. Most of them have showers in them, kitchens or kitchenettes, bathrooms, and they sleep anywhere from 4 to 10 people, just depending on what you're wanting and what your preferences are. You're going to bring a camper out here, or are you going to tent camp? Some people come out here and they'll just string up a hammock between 2 trees and sleep in the hammock at night. Some people will sleep in a sleeping bag on the ground all night. It just depends on whether you want to be extremely primitive, or if you're going to want to bring a camper or a tent out here, or be in a cabin. Another thing to really think about is your food and a way to prepare it. So are you going to bring your own food? Are you going to have hot dogs and hamburgers or some other kind of meat? Are you going to need to bring a barbecue grill? I know Cheney itself has a marina that is open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. that offers food. Are you going to go into town and get food there? Just something to think about, as well as hydration. And this is a big one. A lot of people come out here and the only thing they drink is alcohol all weekend, and that's not a good idea. Trust me. We have a lot of people that will get dehydrated from not drinking enough water, especially here. It's June now, coming up in July and August. Temperatures are going to be in the hundreds. So you need to make sure that you drink a lot of water and that you avoid either feeling sick or needing medical attention because you don't have enough water. Obviously, the sun is a big thing out here. As well as any place along the water. When you're on the water, it seems like the sun is magnified. So you do need to make sure that you have sunscreen on or some other way to protect your skin from getting sunburned, because it is a real thing. And again, you don't want those blisters on your skin the next morning from having too much sun. Another thing to think about is just fun activities and things you might want to do while you're out here. Do you want to bring fishing poles and go fishing? Cornhole is a huge activity that's growing around the country, really. Washboards, redneck golf, and just something to pass the time, something to have fun. Are you going to bring your bicycles and go on a bike ride? Something that people don't think a lot about is kites, especially Cheney being such a windy lake. It's really good for kites, and you can go find a wide open patch of grass and fly a kite and have a lot of fun. Sporting equipment, this might be a volleyball, horseshoes, a football or a baseball to throw around. We have 2 volleyball nets here at Cheney, and it's a great way to pass the time and have fun. One big thing to think about when you are coming to a state park is preparing for the weather. Here in Kansas, we're what is Tornado Alley. You need to at least look at the weather forecast before you go. Plan for stormy weather if it does happen, and know what you're going to do if severe weather does arise. We're out here as park rangers. We're all law enforcement, and we will go around and warn people of any extremely severe storms that are coming into the area. But it never hurts to take the necessary preparation to at least think about what you're going to do in the case of extremely high winds, large hail, or even a tornado. So some of the rules and regulations that people might not know when it comes to parks, I like to go over those. Again, even for you people that might be experienced and come out to state parks all the time, this is good information to know. So when you're coming into a state park for the purpose of camping, you're going to need a few things. One of those is a camping permit. And you can either get these beforehand by reserving, like I said, or you can come in the day of and you can find the site that you want and you can self-pay for it. Every entrance to the park has a self-pay station, or you can talk to the camp host in the campground and they can take care of collecting payment for that spot, as well as showing you how long that site might be available. In addition to your camping, if you're going to be out here, every vehicle in the state park does need a vehicle permit. These are $5 per day or $25 for the entire year. So based on how much you plan on coming out to a park, the annual vehicle permits really are kind of a good buy. And these are not just park specific, they're good for the entire state, every state park in a state. So if you buy an annual camp or an annual vehicle permit at Cheney, you can use it in Tuttle Creek, you can use it at Wilson or Webster, wherever you might be going. If you plan on fishing, you will need a fishing license. You can buy those at the state park when you get here. A lot of places around town do offer them, Walmarts or sometimes Ace Hardwares. You can buy fishing licenses there. I'll show you later on in this presentation how to do it on your phone or do it online. You can do it all without even going in person. You can have it all virtual on your phone. Trash is something that we do ask that you take care of that yourself. We have numerous dumpsters scattered throughout the park, but we all need to take our part in keeping the park clean. If you need a trash bag, just come out here and ask the camp host or talk to the park office, and we can get you a trash bag. We won't charge you for that. We'll give you a trash bag if you want to pick up your own trash and you don't have one. So dogs are allowed at the state parks in all areas, but the cabins. So some parks do have dog-friendly cabins. At this time, Cheney does not have any dog-friendly cabins. That might change in the future, but as of now, we don't. However, any other campsite, any other place in the park, dogs are allowed. The only thing is they need to be kept on leashes. And the reason behind this is you very well could have the most well-behaved dog in the world, but the person that's camping to the side next to you might have a dog that just for some reason or another decided to come and play, or it might even get a little bit more physical. So just to be safe, we ask that all dogs do stay on leashes. If you're going to camp out here, we know we love you have a good time, and a lot of having a good time involves listening to music. We do have quiet hours at every state park, and that starts at 11 p.m. and goes until 6 a.m. So starting at 11 p.m., we do ask that you turn your radios off or your music or whoever else you're listening. And this also applies to generators. So if you're going to be camping in a primitive campground and you have a generator to have electricity, if this is a loud generator, we do ask that you turn it off. And again, all of these, the music and the generators, it's all to be respectful of the other campers at the park who might not want to listen to music and might not want to listen to a generator all night. So it's just as a means of respect for the other campers in the area. Fireworks are not allowed at any state park. This is across the board. Just for obvious reasons, we don't allow fireworks. When you're coming out here, you're not allowed to operate your vehicle off the road. And by that, I'm meaning if you see a beach or a big grassy area that's off the road, you're not allowed to go on to that area with your vehicle. A lot of people do want to pull their vehicles up onto the beach to get closer to the water, to get closer to where they're fishing or camping. And what ends up happening is you're going to make big ruts into the beach. You're going to make ruts into the grass, and that can become an issue when it comes to maintenance and keeping everything looking good, especially when it rains. We don't want big ruts throughout all the grass or the beaches. In addition to that, you'll go out on that beach and you're going to get stuck. And then another person is going to come and try to pull you out and they're going to get stuck. And then another person and they're going to get stuck. And I speak from experience when I say it's it's better just to stay on the road and not even risk it. So state parks do offer golf carts and UTVs, and by UTV I mean utility transport vehicle. These are what a lot of people will call mules or Kubotas or Rangers. It's basically a side-by-side with 2 seats and a steering wheel. It looks like a golf cart, except it's sometimes a little bit beefier, a little bit faster. We do offer these, not offer them, but we do allow them at all state parks. In order to operate them, you do need to come to the park office and purchase a special permit for that. It's $52.50 for the entire year for any state park, and that allows you to operate your golf cart or your UTV in the park. The rules of the road apply to these, so you have to be a licensed driver to operate them. They're not allowed after sunset unless it is tagged through the state. So there's a couple stipulations that you need to be aware of if you're going to operate a golf cart or UTV out here at the park. And if you wanted to reserve an entire area or an entire shelter for a birthday party, a graduation party, a wedding, that's possible. But you need to contact the park office and we can help you decide on what area might work best for you, whether you're going to need electricity, picnic tables, trash cans, things like that. We work with you and we will help you find the shelter and the place you need to have your event out there. So one of the big things, and I know I spoke about this earlier, are special events in the parks. Each park around the state offers their own unique special events, as well as special events that are statewide. So the ones that are specific to Cheney are our first day hike, and this is every year, January 1st. We round up a bunch of crazy people that don't mind the cold and want to come out and just enjoy their January 1st at a state park and getting outside and hiking and having a good time. Typically for this in years past, and I believe in years future, we give t-shirts as a token for everyone that comes out here on January 1st and hikes. And again, most state parks in the state offer these first day hikes, and we get people that will come here that have done 2 or 3 in that same day, because we stagger them out throughout the day depending on what park you're at. So you can go to more than one if you want, if you are that gung-ho. Sometimes it's 2 years ago, I think the temperature was -8, and we still had 200 people show up out here for the first day hike. So it was awesome to see so many people out here that just braved the cold and wanted to be outside. Another thing that is offered at not only state parks, but around the state and many other nature centers or county parks is OK Kids Day. And that stands for Outdoor Kansas Kids Day. And it's a means to really get kids outside and hooked on nature. The one here at Cheney, we offer all sorts of events for the kids to do. We have fishing, you can make s'mores, build a tent. We have an archery range, a BB gun range, it's face painting, fire truck come. You can go sit in the fire truck. It's just a great opportunity for kids to get outside and kind of get hooked on nature. We have prizes, and it's a really fun day. So at Cheney, that's always the first Saturday in May. At other parks, it varies depending on which park you're at. So another big thing we do have are movies in the park. This is something new that we're starting this year at Cheney. We're going to try one a month, and we're going to kind of see how it works out. And if the popularity is there, we could do this every weekend. We could do this every 2 weeks. But basically, we have a huge screen, a huge projector, and we're going to show a family-friendly movie once a month. I think we're going to have free popcorn, maybe some free water and pop for you to come and enjoy a movie in the park. Cheney does have a triathlon every year. As well as we have a honey badger is what it's called. It's a 100-mile run. So these people, they literally come here and they will do a 100-mile foot race. And they start in the park and they go all throughout the county and they end in the park. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think usually the person that gets first place ends after 20 some hours. So it's an extremely long endurance event, but it's it's neat to see them out there doing that. It's just another opportunity to have an event in a state park, and it's another opportunity to enjoy being outside in state parks. So these are the events for Cheney. I did throw on here the events for El Dorado, which is the next closest state park. So all of these events, whether at Cheney or whether at El Dorado, if you want access to those, you can type it in your chat box or ask me at the end that you like access to this list, and I can email it to Sarah and find a way to get it out to all of you. Another good way to find out all the special events of the park are just to call the park or to look on their Facebook page, which I'm going to go over here shortly. But these are some of the events at El Dorado State Park. So I can kind of skim through some of those. And again, if you do want access to that, we'll find a way to get that to you. So kind of wrapping things up, I don't want to keep you too long, but when it comes to planning a future trip, I did put together just a short list of some of the resources that would help you plan a trip to a state park, and maybe not just a state park, but to any outdoor activity that you want to do. So first and foremost, the best option for information, up-to-date information, is going to be the park office. You can call the park office or you can visit it in person, but here in the office, we're always going to have the most up-to-date information about events that might be going on in the park, campsite availability, the lake conditions in terms of boating or fishing. So any question at all, feel free to call the park office or stop by in person, and we can help you out a lot. Another great resource for information is our Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks website, which is KS Outdoors. This is not just park specific, but this is for the entire Department of Wildlife Parks, fishing, hunting, boating, camping. This is a great information, a great resource for information on the entire state spectrum of things to do. As I mentioned, the Facebook page, most parks I think do have Facebook pages now. We post videos on there. We give information about lake levels, water temperature, fishing reports, again, special events coming up, camping availability. We do utilize those Facebook pages as a great way to convey information to the public. So utilize that if you are on Facebook. These next two things are mobile apps, Camp It Kansas and Hunt Fish Kansas. I have a couple of videos coming up about both of those, but this Camp It Kansas is a great way to reserve a campsite on your phone without calling the office or without going online. It's also a great way to book a site the day of on site. So, and I would verify that these are available in the park, but we do have QR codes that have been shipped out this year, and the goal is to put those on every campsite in the entire park. And the purpose of that QR code is that if you have this Camp It Kansas app on your phone, you can go to the site, you can scan that QR code. It will tell you if it's available and for how long it's available, and then you can book it and pay for it right there on your phone without talking to the park office, without talking to a camp host. It's extremely convenient. This is something that we're trying out this year, and we think it's going to be extremely successful as a way to just another option for people to reserve sites. The other app that I'm going to show you a video of later is the Hunt Fish Kansas. So when it comes to buying a hunting license or a fishing license, you can go into the state park office and buy those, but another option is to do it again on your phone. And this Hunt Fish Kansas is an app that you can use to buy and store your licenses. In years past, you always had to have that green piece of paper that had your hunting license or your fishing license on it. And that's still valid, and it's still something that is used, but we have added the option to use your phone to store those hunting and fishing licenses. So it's just another option for you to use. So Reserve America is the online reservation system that we use in Kansas. This is a nationwide system. So you can book sites in Kansas or any other state that uses this system. You can see what's available, and you can make those reservations online through Reserve America. We do have I think I have a picture of this in the bottom right of this slide. It's the Kansas State Parks magazine. You can stop by at a park office and pick this up. It details all 28 state parks in the state of Kansas, and I think each one has a page or two devoted to things that are unique, things that are specific to that state park, as well as any information you might need to know about that park. And the last one on here is just travelks.com. Again, this is something that's very broad from a touristic standpoint of Kansas. It does have quite a bit of good information about parks and camping, but as well as any tourism activity that Kansas does offer. That might not be camping or outdoor related, but it's a great access point to the broad spectrum of what Kansas has to offer for tourism. So I think the next slides are a couple of videos. Again, one of these videos is for the Camp at Kansas app, and the other one is for the Hunt Fish Kansas app. These are both short videos, but they do a good job of kind of putting into perspective what these apps offer and what they can do. So let me put these on for you real fast.
Hole in one.
And again, if you're not phone savvy, then a great way to reserve is obviously through the park office. You can call the park office and we can take care of your reservation over the phone as well. So this next video is for that KS Hunt Fish app. Again, those are just really two great resources. If you have a phone and are comfortable using the applications for both camping in Kansas as well as hunting and fishing in Kansas. So that's the bulk of my presentation that I wanted to go over today. I wanted to keep this brief. If you all have questions or comments or anything, feel free to let me know now if you haven't already typed them into the box. So here we go.
Yeah, it looks like we had one question earlier on from your first slide. It asked, are there any lakes in Kansas for skiing? Any specific lakes that are dedicated for skiing?
As far as skiing goes, that's pretty broad in the entire state. Any lake that you can get on is going to be good for skiing as long as you have a boat and your proper equipment. I don't think any lake would be bad for skiing. Cheney, we have skiers out here every weekend. So it's even being as windy as it is, typically in the mornings and the evenings, the water's a little bit calmer. So yes, there are no, as far as I know, there's no lakes that are better skiers than others. This is something that you can do in any lake across the state and really across the country.
Great. Looks like we have another question, and this is regarding slide number 3. It's asking, there's a photo at the bottom right with the outdoor activities, and they're wondering where that was taken.
In the bottom right-hand corner.
Yes.
So I believe that was at Little Jerusalem State Park. And that's the newest state park in Kansas. It's in western Kansas. And you wouldn't, again, I spoke about this in Knopolis earlier, but this is the same. It's you wouldn't think you're in Kansas. It's large, huge rock formations that you can hike along and on top of. And as that picture shows, it's a great view, and you don't feel like you're in Kansas. So if you have any interest at all, I would definitely recommend making a trip out there to western Kansas. It's near Scott City. So it's a bit of a drive, but it's well worth the trip.
Great. Yeah, I think I've seen pictures of it before. It reminds me of Utah, kind of that arid, like you said, rock formations. I have a question specifically about, so when you go to a state park and you want to reserve a spot the day of, more often than not, you have to pay with cash. Is there a threshold in how much a day pass versus camping would cost, so that way our listeners can be prepared if they just show up and decide they want to park it? I mean, you had mentioned earlier $5 just to park and sometimes up to $10 for camping, but is it consistent with within the park system?
Yeah, so those prices are statewide. This is actually set by the legislature, so it's not up to each park. It goes through a whole process to determine what camping is in Kansas. And as far as the cash only, I mean, that always works, but we take check as well. And our camp post, and every campground has a camp post that lives on site. And these camp posts are out here and they can take card payment as well. So if you show up the day of and you want to pay, again, you can pay with cash, check, or you can go up to the camp host and you can pay with a card there. So it's something that's new this year, and I didn't mention this, is that each park is supposed to get what is an electronic self-pay station. And this basically looks like an ATM. It's at the entrance to the park. And when you come in, you can look on that and you can pay for your site there and your vehicle permit and anything else it might take with a card at that electronic self-pay station. As far as money goes and what you might need to bring, if you just have cash, obviously, if you're staying for one night, you're going to need that vehicle permit. That's $5. If you're going to camp in a tent or in a primitive site, that's another $10. So if you definitely need to pay with cash, I would bring probably at least $20 The park office is open 7 days a week, from 8 to 4:30. So you can always come in and make change in the park office or pay with a card there as well. So you have a lot of options. And again, like I said earlier, if you have any questions at all about how much it might cost or what to bring, call the park office of the park that you plan on going to, and we can give you the absolute best information that you need.
Great. It looks like we have another question. Someone's asking what cornholing is. So they've obviously never tossed the bean bag or the washer
Yep.
around.
So these are, and they're popular at NFL football game tailgates, and they're gaining a lot of popularity. It's a large board made out of plywood or some other board, with a big hole in the middle of it. And people will throw bean bags at these boards set across from each other, typically 15 or 20 feet apart. And if you've ever seen horseshoes, it's similar to horseshoes, except you're throwing a bean bag and you're throwing it at it looks like a ramp. If you've ever made a homemade bicycle ramp as a kid, it's almost what it looks like, with a hole in the middle. And the goal is to either land the bag on the board or land it in the hole, and you get points based on landing it on the board. It's usually 1 point, landing it in the hole is 3 or 5 points, or however you want to play. But yeah, this is something that a lot of people will bring their own cornhole boards out to the park and play. It goes by a number of names. It's just we call it cornhole, but it can be bags or bean toss or who knows whatever names they'll come up with in the future.
That's great. One question. So I know state parks allow for dogs, like you mentioned, to come on site versus national parks where you can't bring dogs. Is there a best practice for when you're bringing your pet in terms of keeping them close to you, obviously on leash? You know, we all as pet owners want to let our dogs run free in a field, but maybe the state park isn't the best place to do that. So are there any rules specifically for pet owners that bring their pets?
Yeah, and we have that leash rule, and that's statewide in parks. And again, the reason behind that is that you don't know what the other dogs in the area might be like. So you know, a lot of times people do want to let their dogs roam, but we have a lot of problems with that, and that dogs will either run away or get tangled up with another dog, and then it's a headache. So just to be safe and to avoid any issues that we might have, we do ask that all dogs remain on the leash. Now, you can take your dogs anywhere with you in the park that you want, whether that be on the trails, to go hiking, or out into the water with you. But we do ask that they do remain on leashes the entire time.
Wonderful. Does anyone else have any more questions? I'm not seeing any in the chat, but I'll give everyone just a moment if they. That was a really great resource you shared earlier about the website where you can search nationwide about campsites. I know, especially this summer, planning trips outside of Kansas, I've been kind of stressing about, the availability, because once we get into these summer months and people want to get outdoors, it can be a lot harder. So would you share that resource one more time?
Yeah, so that was called Reserve America.
Reserve
America.
America.
It's a nationwide camping reservation system. They facilitate all of the reservations and information about campgrounds and numerous parks throughout the country. Kansas is one of those states that do use that system. Again, not every state does, and some states have their own unique ways of reserving, but Kansas uses that Reserve America, as do numerous other state parks. So when you're going onto that website, you can just simply search for anything that might be available. If you can narrow it down by whatever state or whatever park or whatever campground you want to go to, and you can see what might be available for an upcoming date in terms of cabins or utility sites or primitive sites or anything of that nature. So it is a great resource to at least browse to see what might be available and help you in planning your future visit out to the park. Again, if you have any questions at all, really the best thing to do is just call the office too. So we have the most up-to-date information about camping out here. So if you get onto the Reserve America and you have issues with logging in or booking a site, call us and we can zip you through it and get you taken care of.